We begin tonight with wild weather across the Carolinas. Heavy rain in the Charlotte area, snow and ice in the mountains and foothills. You are looking at live pictures right now from our crews spread out across our area. Roads are wet and dangerous, and it's only going to get worse overnight. And here's a live look at the first warn Doppler radar. There's still a lot of action out there. The rain continuing overnight right into the morning drive. A busy night. Thank you for staying up with us. I'm Fred Shropshire.
And I'm Rachel Brown. Right now we have several winter storm warnings and advisories in place, and you can see why. Take a look at this video out of Boone. Big flakes falling late into the night. The mountains hit hard by winter weather. More new video tonight showing crews working on the roads. You can see slow traffic behind the trucks near Blowing Rock.
We have school closings and delays rolling into our newsroom. Avery County and Mitchell County schools are closed. Ashe and Watauga counties on a 2-hour delay. The rest are scrolling on the bottom of your screen.
Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich in the First Warn Storm Center timing out the snow and the rain.
Yeah, we're going to start in the mountains first because that's where the weather has really deteriorated this evening. This is downtown Blowing Rock, and that's where Xavier is right now. And you can see there is a lot of snow falling up there. In fact, some of this snow is very heavy. There's about an inch and a half of snow already on the ground. Now across the Piedmont, we're just seeing light rain, drizzle and mist, but temperatures aren't exactly warm. It's only in the mid 30s. But as you get closer to the mountains, that's where we're having some real issues because temperatures are in the upper 20s and that snow is slowly changing to freezing rain. So on top of that 1 to 2 inches of snow, we're going to see a glaze of ice form across these areas, and that's really going to cause the roads to deteriorate even more overnight. Now, as we take a look at Futurecast, notice the temperatures in the mountains actually cooling down into the mid 20s. Still light rain moving across the Piedmont, but that freezing rain is going to continue in the mountains well into tomorrow morning, and eventually it's going to take until lunchtime until that completely shuts off. So the morning commute, it's not going to be pretty in Charlotte. The good news is there's not going to be ice, but there's going to be plenty of rain, fog, drizzle, and mist around. It's not exactly great out there tonight either. Our own meteorologist, Chris Mulcahy, is out in the Chevy Storm Tracker. Chris, what are you seeing out there right now on I-77?
Right now here on I-77 around Mooresville, just some light drizzle as you can see in front of me. Current conditions right now in the Chevy Storm Tracker, 37 degrees. This is a cold, miserable rain, feeling like 29 degrees. So far close to 0.6 of an inch is what we've seen since midnight today. So all in all, this is what you're expecting heading into tomorrow morning. It's going to be wet, and I think the rain's going to pick up a lot more here along 77 through Charlotte, through the Piedmont, where we're expecting wet conditions becomes a little bit more scattered and spotty as we are continuing through the morning time. However, up into the mountains, it is a whole lot worse, and we're about to hear from Xavier coming up. In the meantime, I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy reporting from the Chevy Storm Tracker.
Chris, thank you. Investigators say the nasty weather is to blame for a car crash in Gastonia. This is a look at the scene on North Chester and West Long Street earlier tonight. Police say an SUV slid and crashed because of the wet roads. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
And we're continuing our weather coverage in the mountains. Right now, you are taking a live look at Beech Mountain. The people there getting some freezing rain and snow, creating dangerous driving conditions. Our Xavier Walton continues our coverage this evening from Blowing Rock. Xavier, how's it look?
Well, Fred, Rachel, to give you guys an idea of just how cold it is here, I was on Facebook Live for about 10 minutes, and then my phone actually froze. Snowplows have been coming through, and they have been plowing, obviously, the streets. Earlier tonight, as we were coming up 321, we did see 2 snowplows clearing roads, salting roads, and they honestly, they weren't that bad. It was a little slushy. Just now, though, it started to go from snow to sleet. But one thing we did notice as we were driving up the mountain, overweighing some of the snow, the accumulation of the snow and the sleet on trees was actually pulling the trees down onto the roadways, which could be cause for concern, especially when you think about power outages, especially if this is going to continue well into the night, overnight, and into the morning. For now, though, reporting live in Blowing Rock, I'm Xavier Walton. Back to you.
Xavier, thank you. And remember, you can always find the latest warnings and forecast inside the NBC Charlotte mobile app. It's free for your smartphone or tablet. Also, make sure you check out our Facebook and Twitter pages. Just search for NBC Charlotte.
Right now, it's a story you'll only see on NBC Charlotte. A former airline employee is speaking out. She claims her airline issued a flight attendant uniform that caused her to become sick, and she says she's out of a job because of it. She's now taking legal action. NBC Charlotte's Mark Boyle has a copy of that lawsuit and sat down with the woman to hear her story.
Lauren Swearinger left PSA Airlines several years ago, but it was just today she filed this federal lawsuit in court.
Lauren Swearinger could not hold back tears.
My message would be
to everybody that's in the uniforms, get out of the uniforms.
The now former PSA Airlines employee is talking about her flight attendant uniform. In the lawsuit obtained by NBC Charlotte, she writes her uniforms contain harsh and dangerous chemical levels.
As soon as I walked through the airport and got to the crew room in Charlotte Douglas Airport, I was having a reaction.
Swearinger told me she started flying with the airline back in September of 2016, and in less than a year, her health took a nosedive. She wrote she had rashes like this, lost her ability to sit or stand or walk for long periods of time.
April the 19th was when I actually was first diagnosed with contact dermatitis. And that's because I went into the emergency room and I was experiencing severe itching and burning.
And she is not the first one to complain. We've told you about other Charlotte-based flight attendants with similar stories. In a lawsuit filed in Chicago, American Airlines employees say senior management at American became aware of issues with the Twin Hill uniforms following safety tests before the new outfits were implemented. While American Airlines was originally a defendant in the Chicago lawsuit along with Twin Hill, a judge decided to only pursue a case against Twin Hill. As for Swearinger, she's suing PSA for a total of $6 million.
They're saying the uniforms are safe, but I have a life-threatening illness that I will have for the rest of my life.
PSA Airlines is owned by American Airlines. American Airlines does not comment on pending litigation. From reporting at Charlotte Douglas International Airport tonight, I'm Mark Boyle for NBC Charlotte.
Mark, thank you. In breaking tonight, we are learning more about a deadly accident in Concord. This happened on Highway 49 earlier this evening. Police there say two cars collided near Central Cabarrus High School. One driver was killed, the other taken to the hospital. Their names haven't been released. New tonight, the Mecklenburg County Board of Commissioners passed a resolution supporting immigrants and Sheriff Gary McFadden.
This comes just one day after protesters shut down streets in Uptown rallying for immigrants' rights, and weeks after ICE arrested dozens of immigrants in Charlotte.
NBC Charlotte's Savannah Levins was there for the passage of the resolution. She's live at the Government Center. Savannah?
Yeah, here at the Government Center tonight, Fred, Sheriff McFadden was very open about this issue with commissioners who expressed their full support for the sheriff's publicly controversial decisions regarding immigrants in the county.
The Mecklenburg County Board of Commissioners declare support for our immigrant residents and our sheriff.
An all-Democratic Board of Commissioners threw their support behind Sheriff Gary McFadden Tuesday night.
You certainly are the epitome of a leader.
The sheriff smiling as each member complimented his refusal to partner with ICE on large-scale immigration enforcement.
By targeting immigration community with raids, threats, deportation, that makes us and them lose trust, causing crimes to go unreported in our community.
This comes 2 weeks after an ICE raid in Charlotte that reportedly led to more than a dozen arrests.
We have ICE agents in conjunction with the gang task force.
Immigration activists say the raid was a targeted response to Sheriff McFadden recently ending the 287G program, which was a partnership between the sheriff's office and ICE that allowed deputies to check the immigration status of anyone booked into jail.
I, like other sheriffs around this great state, do not believe that the role of the sheriff's office is to actively partner with ICE.
It's outrageous that these federal employees are making any comments about how you are performing your job, the job we elected you to do.
Thank you.
Among supporters, applause, and handshakes, Sheriff McFadden accepting the board's support after weeks of controversy. Now, of course, the sheriff has received some backlash about all of this as well. Some saying that by ending the 287G program, it's just going to be harder to identify immigrants living in our neighborhoods illegally. Meanwhile, ICE says their work will continue here in Mecklenburg County. Reporting live from the Government Center, Uptown, Savannah Levins, NBC Charlotte.
Police investigating after a gun was found on a local high school campus. According to CMS, a student brought the gun to South Mecklenburg High School. The gun was immediately turned over to the school resource officer. According to the principal, no threat was made to anyone, and all of the students and staff were safe during that incident. Tonight, taking a look at this crazy video you will only see right here on NBC Charlotte. What you're looking at is a car going airborne, flipping over several times and then hitting a power pole. Surveillance video on Eastway Drive caught the whole thing on camera. The driver was trying to run from the cops. And tonight we know why. That driver from that video is a suspect in a domestic dispute that turned into a car chase and shooting. Here's how it started. Early this morning, we're told a woman was driving to the police department when a man she was reportedly in a relationship with followed her there. He eventually crashed his car into hers, which had 4 kids inside of it. The man then fired shots into the air on North Sharon Amity Road and took off, prompting a search for the suspect.
It was like a bam, bam, bam. This, I think almost about six sounds like that, bam, 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 bam. I just continued my work, and when I heard the siren, that's the only time I came out. I said, okay, this might be something.
Luckily, police were able to catch up with that car. 2 men were inside. Both were taken to the hospital with charges to come. We're told no one was hurt in this incident.
Tonight, Charlotte police are asking you if you recognize the man in these surveillance photos. Police calling this man a person of interest in an attempted kidnapping and stabbing. This happened on Sunday. The victim told police she had just stepped off the bus along South Boulevard when a man attacked her. She told a 911 dispatcher she was stabbed in the face, but was also got away by using her stun gun. If you recognize the man you see here, you are urged to call 911. More testimony tomorrow in District 9 election fraud hearing. This coming after major testimony developments tonight. NBC Charlotte's Vavricka joins us from Raleigh with the latest.
We heard today for the first time from the man who heads up a political consulting company called Red Dome. Red Dome was the company hired by the Harris campaign and went on to pay the man who's at the center of this investigation, McCrae Dowless.
No red flags at all.
Andy Yates, who runs the political consulting group called Red Dome, said when he signed on to work for Mark Harris, that's when he first heard the name McCrae Dowless.
At the time that Dr. Harris told me about McCrae Dowless, I did not ever hear his name before.
Yates said Dowless would submit requests for payments, but there was little documentation of what the money was for.
Most of the time, I can't swear to all the time because I don't know what Mr. Dowless did.
Investigators for the Board of Elections say what Dowless did was orchestrate a coordinated and unlawful absentee ballot operation in Bladen County.
It came out like that.
In other testimony today, the board heard allegations that early voting results had been leaked and that some poll workers like Michelle Malsby had seen other workers looking at the results.
Do you think it would be proper for one-stop workers to be looking at the early voting results, the results of early voting?
I know it's not supposed to be done.
But there was no testimony linking any supposed leaks to Dowless. Yates says when concerns were raised about absentee ballots in Bladen, Dowless said he knew nothing about it.
And if it was anything about him, it was made up by political rivals in Bladen, local political rivals in Bladen County.
Mark Harris was here today and he was here yesterday. We have yet to hear from Dan McCready. Both men are expected to be called to testify before this hearing ends. We are now hearing that might be on Thursday. In Raleigh, Vavricka, NBC Charlotte.
Some people in South Carolina will receive their SNAP benefits early next month. This after the headache that happened during the government shutdown earlier this year. The Department of Social Services will give out the benefits in order to make up for lapsed time from the shutdown. But it's not for everyone in the program. The state says only those SNAP recipients who received their February benefits in January will receive benefits on March 5th. This affects an estimated 230,000 households in the state.
South Carolina election officials are asking for $60 million in the state's budget to replace voting machines. 2 bills in the state house would require paper records of each vote cast, much like a receipt. The State Election Commission says there are 2 options for that. One is a computer that prints the ballot and then scans it. Another would be for hand-marked ballots. Estimates show the hand-marked ballot system would be much cheaper.
The flu epidemic has run rampant across the country. Right now in the Carolinas, flu activity level is in the red. That's extremely high. According to the Centers for Disease Control, nearly 36 children have died from the flu-related complications across the country so far this season. And one of the latest children to succumb to the illness, 4-year-old Ashanti Grenush. We spoke with her father.
That was a birthday picture. 4 years old.
Difficult doesn't even begin to describe what this father is going through.
And I used to tell her that I'm here and Daddy's never gonna let any bad thing happen to you.
His little girl, Ashanti, passed away at a Dallas hospital due to complications from the flu. Doctors say Ashanti had pneumonia and died from the infection after testing positive for the flu 2 days before. She didn't receive a flu shot.
I'm mad at myself. I'm mad at everyone, bro. I'm mad at the hospital. I'm mad at God. I can't lie to you. I'll never have the privilege to take her to prom, to teach her how to drive her new car, to be there for her when somebody break her heart.
But she seemed to improve after her first visit to the emergency room. Her fever went down and all that was left was a cough. Then a couple days later, Ashanti was back in the hospital, fatigued and coughing up mucus. He wants other parents to hear this story, to know the signs and hopefully save a child's life.
I'm not even 30 yet and I'm finna bury my little girl, man.
The CDC is once again tracking a peak this February in flu illnesses. So far this season, 34 children have died from flu-related complications, compared to 110 this time last year.
Now, doctors say this year's flu shot is about 47% effective, helping older adults especially. The flu shot is still your best method to protect against the virus.
Wow. All right, well, let's turn the page now, talking about the weather. A wet and chilly night tonight. We've seen rain, sleet, and even snow in some places. Brad is here with your first one forecast. Brad, what are we looking like tonight and Wednesday?
It is just a messy night and a messy Wednesday ahead. The good news is the real heavy rain that was falling out there and the sleet across the Piedmont has really relaxed quite a bit. The big issues are developing in the mountains. That's where temperatures are below the freezing mark. I mean, as cold and miserable as it is, be thankful temperatures are above 32 degrees. They're only in the mid to upper 30s. Up here in the mountains where Xavier is, this is where we're going to have some real issues. Now, it was snow, which is beautiful. You would love to see this stay snow. The problem is warm air is coming in aloft, which is going to change this to freezing rain. The surface temperatures will stay around 28, 27, but the air above the ground is going to get warm enough that this is going to fall as liquid and then freeze on contact. And when you have 1 to 2 inches of snow and sleet on the ground, this is going to make basically a glacier on those road surfaces, and it's also going to pile up on those trees and power lines, eventually bringing them down. So your futurecast again will show you that we could see all that rain that's going to be around in the morning. This is mainly going to be drizzle and mist in the Charlotte area. It'll be persistent for most of the day, but notice the ice hanging on well through the morning hours tomorrow. That's the real issue. It could take until lunchtime for that to all clear out, but we're going to see the rain hold tough in the afternoon before it kind of wanes a little bit, and then we'll see a break before another batch of rain comes in going into the afternoon. So a really big setup for ice. Now, we've already seen 1 to 2 inches. I think we could see an additional inch or two, especially up towards the Virginia line, but snow isn't going to be the story with the storm. It's going to be the ice. Let's focus in real closely on the areas of greatest concern tomorrow morning. These eastern facing slopes of Avery, Ashwaubenon, and then upper Burke, Caldwell, and Wilkes counties. We could even see a glaze on the trees down towards the Hickory area where we're likely going to have some delays. So you can see the impacts here, mainly in the mountains with ice up to 1/4 inch. The AM commute will be very icy, and we could see scattered power outages because of the weight on those trees. Now, once the cold air moves out late tomorrow, we're not done with the rain. In fact, this system tries to push through. If it moved and got out of here and be done with it, we'd be okay. The problem is it leaves behind the front, and another wave of low pressure approaches from the northwest, and that kind of sets the stage for more rain. We're also going to see a cooler pattern going into the future, so winter's not quite over yet. We're going to see the potential for some cooler weather as we go towards the beginning of March. We're also going to see a very wet pattern, it looks like, going into March, as the rainfall amounts over the next 6 to 7 days could approach 3 to 4 inches across our area. So looking ahead to tomorrow, not a great day. You could see temperatures holding steady, not 63, that should be 36, and temperatures really holding in the 30s all day long. Ice to rain in the mountains. We'll see temperatures closer to 40 here in the Piedmont. As you go to the east, some low 40s tomorrow, so not a whole lot better than today. The 7-day forecast first shows the wet weather through the weekend, but if you want a little bit of good news, we extend this out 10 days. We actually see a drier pattern next week with temperatures in the 60s, so we just got to get there before we dry out.
Next week looks much, much better.
A lot better.
All right, Brad, thank you.